In this lecture, we are going to see transient or unsteady heat conduction. Till now, we have considered different kinds of heat conduction, but we have not yet considered the transient heat conduction. We have always considered steady state heat conduction. So, let us first see what we mean by the transient heat conduction. It happens typically when the boundary conditions of a system are changed, and the changes will continue to occur until a steady state temperature distribution is reached. That means if we consider a very simple example, let us consider there is a wall, and here one side, let us consider the temperature is T1 and other side say temperature is T2. Maybe in this side temperature is more than T1 is more than T2, and consider there is some heat source here, maybe some furnace or something like that. That is why the temperature is higher, and ultimately what is happening, the heat is conducting through this solid material. So if the situation is such that the rate of heat that is transferred here in this wall, you may find that this situation is a steady state. That means with respect to time, maybe the temperature T1 or the T2 or any intermediate point, the temperature is not changing. But suddenly if you change this boundary condition, that means the rate at which the furnace wall was heating, suddenly if you increase the rate of heating here, then maybe you will observe that the temperature is going to increase even at all the points within the material, or definitely at the wall or the outside. So these particular phenomena occurs that suddenly if you change the boundary condition, you will find that there will be time dependent temperature variation. That means with respect to time, the temperatures are going to change, and this situation, this particular condition, when this temperature will be function of time along with the other geometrical function, maybe special functions may there, but it is more importantly is function of time. That means with respect to time, gradually you will find that the temperature is changing, either increasing or decreasing depending on how you are changing the boundary condition, and this change will continue to occur until again another steady state situation comes. So that is why it has been written here. You can see it typically arises the boundary conditions of a system when it is changed, then transient condition occurs. Now one example here has been shown, that consider a hot metal billet that is removed from a furnace and exposed to a cool air stream. So maybe one hot metal billet which is taken out from the furnace and kept it in the cool air stream. Then what will be observed, that definitely you will find that its temperature of the billet gradually will decrease with respect to time. Okay, so because the billet will release heat from its surface through radiation and by convection, and you will find that the continuously its temperature of the billet is decreasing, and in this way you will find that temperature of the billet at each and every point is function of time, and that is why this particular situation can be thought of as a transient problem. Okay, so now the objective of this particular chapter, transient heat conduction, is definitely to find out the time dependence of the temperature distribution within a solid. Okay, so during a transient process we are interested to find out how temperature is changing with respect to time, and as well as for determining heat transfer between the solid and its surrounding. So we also want to find out after a particular time what will be the net heat transfer taken place. So we want to find out temperature as a function of time, and also how much heat actually transferred from that body during that transient period. To solve this problem, let us try to make this problem a bit simpler, and we consider the problem is a kind of, there is, suppose, no spatial variation occurs. The temperature is not varying with the spatial coordinate. Temperature is only function of temperature. So this is a kind of assumption, and this particular assumption is called lumped capacitance method, or the lumped capacitance or lump parameter assumption. So this lumped capacitance assumption is that we are considering that the temperature of the solid is spatially uniform. So this is a very important line. You just observe that the spatially uniform temperature. So temperature of the solid is spatially uniform. So this is what is our assumption. That means if you consider that here you just consider this is a solid, maybe this particular solid is at a very high temperature. Let us consider that temperature is T is equal to Ti, and throughout the body everywhere the temperature is Ti. Now if you let us consider this Ti is large temperature, and let us consider this is greater than T infinity, and T infinity, let us consider, is the temperature of the liquid. So here you can see T infinity is less than Ti. Ti maybe this is, you can consider, is a solid taken out from a furnace having very high temperature. Ti indicates the initial temperature. That means when temperature time is 0, at that time its temperature is Ti. Now if you put this body into this liquid, then what will happen? Definitely this body will release heat to the liquid water, and ultimately its temperature is going to decrease. Okay, so now here if you observe carefully, this temperature is definitely is a function of time. Gradually with respect to time you will find that the temperature of this body will decrease. But what is our assumption in a lumped capacitance method is that we are considering that within the particular body, everywhere, each and every point, the temperature is same at any instant. If you consider at any instant, say T is equal to T1, at that T1 everywhere this temperature within the body is same. That means there is no spatial variation of temperature. Okay, so but maybe in the next instant, after certain times, maybe T2, the whole temperature at each and every point is again same, but that temperature will be less than this initial temperature. So gradually the temperature is decreasing, but whatever be the temperature, that is same throughout the body. So temperature is not function of x, y and z. Temperature is only function of time. So this is what is the assumption done in case of a lumped capacitance method. Okay, so you can call this as a zero dimension problem, because we are not considering any one of the dimension x, y or z. We are only considering temperature is function of time. So throughout the body everywhere temperature is same at any instant of time, but with respect to time the whole temperature of the body is gradually decreasing for this particular example. So this particular assumption is called the lumped capacitance assumption, lumped capacitance method. And definitely if we assume this particular condition, problem will be much easier. And let us first try to solve this problem, and then we will see that what are the practical situation, whether the real practical situation are at all close to these conditions or not, or when we will take this decision that this practical problem can be solved using this lumped capacitance method, or we will decide that no, this particular problem cannot be solved by this assumption. So this kind of decision is also very important to take, so that we will see after that. So first solve this under this assumption, how can we solve the problem. So let us try to apply the basic energy equation on this control volume. Here you can see the control volume has been shown by the dotted red line. So what are the interaction? You can see E dot in, there is no heat that is coming into this particular control volume, so E dot in is 0. Definitely energy is going out in the form of convection, and let us neglect the effect of radiation for the time being. If there is no radiation taking place going out of this surface, only convection is there. Under this assumption, you can definitely write that minus E dot out, and that minus E dot out is nothing but heat transfer by convection, which is simply H into surface area of that body, H into AS. H is the convective heat transfer coefficient of the surrounding liquid, and into T minus T infinity, where T is the surface temperature at a particular instant. This, remember, this T is not a constant, this T is function of time. This T here is function of time. T infinity is definitely a constant, and that is equal to E dot stored. There is no heat generation term present, so E dot G is 0. If you remember, this is what is the basic equation: E dot in minus E dot out plus E dot generation is equal to E dot stored. So now it is not a steady state situation, so definitely this quantity, the storage, that energy is going to change with respect to time. So E dot storage, now we have to write what is the value of E dot storage. Now if I tell you a very simple example, that if there is a body and the body gains some heat, and because of that heat, if the body temperature changes from say T1 to T2, then what will be the amount of heat that body gained? So simply since it is getting increase of the since the change of sensible heat, you can see it will be simply T2 minus T1, the temperature difference multiplied by mass of the body into specific heat at Cp. In case of solids, it is actually not required to write Cp or Cv, because you know, in case of solids all these Cp, Cv, all these are same, they are not different, and you can only write this as C. So you know that this is mass into specific heat, which is we can write as C, into temperature difference, that is T2 minus T1. So this is what is the amount of energy or amount of heat that it will gain, and it will increase its sensible temperature, that we know. So this is what is the basically energy gain in terms of storage. So what will be the change of energy in terms of storage? So in this case, definitely we are assuming a very small time. Let us consider that time is dt. So what is the rate at which the energy the body is losing energy? So to find out that, you have to multiply it by the mass. Here rho density, rho is the density, V is volume of the body, so rho into V is basically the mass. Then you see this quantity C is nothing but the specific heat of that solid, okay, specific heat of that solid that is losing heat, and that multiplied by the temperature difference per unit time. So this is what is the rate at which the energy is basically changing. So per unit time, if you want to find out, so that quantity is the rate, that is dt by dt. dt basically indicates the change of temperature in a very small time dt. So this is what is the rate, because in the left hand side this is what is the rate of energy which is going out in the form of convection. So here the unit is watt, and that is why here also it is not the unit of energy, it should be the watt. So that is why the in time dt, if you consider, then dt is basically the rate at which the energy storage changes. So I think this equation is clear, how we have written this equation. Now next thing is very simple, you just replace this temperature difference of that body and this outside temperature T infinity as theta. So remember, this theta is now function of time, because actually this T is function of time, that is why this theta is function of time. Okay, so theta is t minus t infinity. If you write that, so this quantity will become theta, and if you differentiate with respect to time, it is clear that d theta dt is same as dt dt. So your equation will become of this form, and this is the governing differential equation that you have to solve, and for that you have the initial condition. So this is not a boundary value problem, this is an initial value problem, because the variable independent variable here is the time, and the initial condition means at temperature at time is equal to 0, the temperature is Ti. Here you can see at time is equal to 0 if the temperature is Ti. So you can see, you can use that result here, and if you just simplify, you will find that it is coming rho v into c divided by HAS into natural logarithm theta I by theta is equal to time, where this theta I is basically Ti minus T infinity. Okay, so theta I basically the temperature difference corresponding to the initial temperature. So remaining thing is very simple, just find out what is theta in terms of time. So that has been written here, you can see theta by theta I. If you write theta means you know t minus t infinity, theta I means Ti minus t infinity, and that is equal to exponential of minus of HAS by density into volume into specific heat multiplied by the time. So to find out the time temperature after time t, so if you want to find out what is the temperature of the body after 5 seconds, so in that case you have to put this t as 5 seconds and you will get the value of theta, and once you know what is theta, since you know what is the T infinity, the liquid temperature, you can find that what will be the temperature of the body after 5 seconds. So theta, basically solving theta means already you know what is this T. Okay, so this theta by theta I is equal to this. This is what is the final thing that you have to remember for the lumped capacitance assumption. Now definitely the second thing, after finding out the temperature at any instant of time, we have to find out that what is the rate of heat transfer in that particular time. Suppose the same problem that we are solving in a liquid, we put this particular body, and suppose we want to know after 10 seconds how much heat will be transferred. So in that case what you have to do, you simply have to do, the only way the heat is transferring is by convection, right? So by convection, what is the rate of heat transfer that you know? The rate of heat transfer is what? H into AS, right, into theta. Theta is basically the temperature difference. Okay, so H into AS into theta is basically the instantaneous heat transfer, because at that time, let us consider at any intermediate time from this time, let us consider between 10 and 0 second, and at that time if the temperature is surface temperature is T and outside temperature is T infinity, then theta is basically T minus T infinity. So at time T, this is what is the rate of heat transfer, and if you consider that after time T, if you allow a very small time dt, that within this dt, if you consider, since dt is very small, as if the surface temperature is not changing, so within that small time period this temperature difference remains same because dt is very small. So this is what is the small amount of heat transfer, this is what is the small amount of heat transfer that will take place in time dt. So what will be the total heat transfer that will take place? So total heat transfer will be simply, if you integrate the whole result from 0 to 10 second, you will get that what is the net heat transfer Q in 10 second. Okay, so here that has been done basically in time t, how much heat will be transferred, HAS. This theta is function of time, because H and AS are not function of time, those will come out, and here you can see it is theta into dt, and already you know theta as a function of time, that is by this expression. Theta is function of time like this. If you just put the value of theta here, you can do this integration and you will get what is the net energy transfer. Okay, so this Q is the net energy transferred. Remember, this is basically capital Q. I'm sorry, This is not small q, because by small q we indicate this is the watt or the rate of transfer. Okay, but here it is the rate of energy, the energy that is transferred in the form of heat. So here if you do this integration, you will get this particular result. But here you see the result has been expressed in terms of a quantity called thermal time constant. Tau T is the symbol used. What is this tau T? This tau T is nothing but the quantity that is you can see HAS by rho Vc, and reciprocal of that is called the time constant. Okay, so the time constant is basically just the reciprocal of this, that means rho Vc specific heat divided by H into AS. This particular quantity is called a time constant. Okay, this is what is the time constant. And if you look carefully, this can be written as 1 by HAS into rho Vc in this form. 1 by HAS, by the time you know that this is nothing but the thermal resistance in convection, and rho Vc already you know from your high school physics that this is nothing but the thermal capacity, mass into specific heat, thermal capacity. This is also called the lumped thermal capacitance. Okay, so this is the lumped thermal capacitance or the thermal capacity, and RT is the thermal resistance, and this particular product is what is called the time constant. So basically exponential of a non-dimensional number, because the unit of t is time and unit of tau t is also time. So that is why this t by tau t is a non-dimensional number, and that is since tau t having the same unit as the time, that is why it is called the time constant. Okay, and here you can see that the dependence on the time constant, because it is clear that how much time that body will take to cool or to heat, this time constant plays a very important role. And you can see that here it is the time, and here it is the theta by theta I that has been plotted, and this each curve corresponds to the different time constant. And as you see that if the time constant increases, the curve shifted to the right. That means that for to reach a particular temperature it requires more time, that you can see here. Okay, now coming to a very important concept, and this is a non-dimensional number which is called the Biot number. Now if you consider a simple example, let us consider this is a slab where this particular surface temperature is say Ts1, and this particular surface temperature is say Ts2, and let us consider outside it is some fluid which is flowing having temperature T infinite. So now if you consider again one dimensional heat transfer without any heat generation, then definitely heat will be transferred in this direction, right? So when heat is transferred in this direction, you see carefully that what is the thermal resistance, the conduction resistance, that already you know, or you can also apply the rate of heat transfer that is taking place through the by conduction, and that you know that is equal to K into A into temperature difference by L, because we are considering one dimensional steady state without heat generation from 1 to 2. So this is the simple expression, Ka by L into Ts1 minus Ts2. This is what is the heat conducted. Now here you can consider this is the surface, the outside surface. Since surface cannot store any energy, the heat that has been conducted must leave out of the surface by convection. Okay, so by convection the heat that is transferring is nothing but H into A into Ts2, that is this surface temperature minus T infinite. So now if you see this particular expression, and if we compare this Ts1 minus Ts2 by Ts2 minus T infinity, that means the temperature drop in the solid slab divided by the temperature drop from the outside surface to the fluid, that is Ts2 minus T infinity, that is coming L by Ka divided by 1 by Ha from this equation, and this quantity is nothing but the conduction resistance, thermal resistance in conduction, and the denominator you can see it is nothing but the thermal resistance in convection, 1 by HA, or if you simplify you will get the expression as HL by K. So this ratio of the thermal resistance by conduction and convection, this is what is called the Biot number. This is what is the definition of the Biot number. Okay, so physically, now if we try to understand what physically this Biot number indicates. So one physical interpretation you can give that it is the ratio of the thermal resistance in conduction with the thermal resistance in convection. But definitely if you see carefully this particular expression, you will get an idea that what is the temperature drop, and when the Biot number will be very small, or if the Biot number is very large, then what is the significance. So physically if we want to understand that, okay, we have understood what is Biot number, but if Biot number is very small, then what is the effect in the body. You see that if the Biot number is very small, then what will happen, it indicates that this quantity is very small. If the Biot number is very small, that means this quantity is very small with respect to this quantity. That means numerator will be very small. Numerator small means basically you will find that the slope is very close to 0 here. The temperature drop in the solid slab will be very, very less. That means if this Biot number is very, very small, that means almost there will be no temperature drop within the solid. So you can assume as if the temperature variation within the solid is negligible, maybe if the Biot number is very, very small. Okay. On the other hand, you can see if the Biot number is large, which means this quantity will gradually become large with respect to the denominator. That means you will find that there is substantial amount of temperature drop within the solid. Okay, so you can get an idea now that why we are discussing the Biot number in the transient heat transfer, because we have used the lumped parameter assumption, where we have assumed that the temperature variation within the solid we have neglected. We have considered that temperature variation with the spatial variation is neglected. So temperature is not going to change between any 2 points in the solid at any instant of time. That was our assumption in lumped parameter analysis. So when this particular assumption is basically we can use in practice, so you can see that it is the Biot number. If Biot number is very, very small, then definitely we can conclude that the temperature drop within the solid is very less. Okay, so we can assume as if the lumped parameter analysis, that means within the body temperature variation is not significant. Okay, so Biot number, so the one thing that we can see that if we get a problem related to transient conduction, and what we can do, we'll first find the Biot number and we'll check whether Biot number is very low or not. Okay, so if the Biot number is very low, then maybe we can consider lumped parameter analysis. Now let us see that when this Biot number will be very, very low. It's very clear from the expression of the Biot number that if the thermal conductivity of the solid is very, very large, if the body is highly thermal conductivity, that means if it is made of copper, okay, or aluminum, so in that case what will happen, definitely the thermal resistance will be very, very small. So if the thermal resistance is very small, that means you hardly find any temperature drop within the solid. Or if you find that if the dimension or the geometry of the body is very small, then there is a less chance that there will be variation of temperature, because already the size is very small of the solid body. So chances of getting variation in temperature will be less, and that is clear from this expression L. If the L is very, very small, that means if the dimension of the body is very small, then also the lumped parameter analysis is suitable. Okay, so if the body made of high thermal conductive material, if the dimension of the body is very small, definitely you will get a low Biot number, and you can conclude that we can use the lumped parameter analysis. Or you can see another term, that is H. So if you find that this H is very small, in that case also the lumped parameter analysis is justified. Okay, so if H is very small, then basically convection resistance increases, and if the convection resistance increases, then also you can conclude that with respect to conduction, with respect to temperature drop in conduction, temperature drop in convection will be much higher. So here you can see that, okay, we have understood the Biot number is very small, then we can do the lumped parameter analysis. But how small means how much? Here is the guide. You can see generally what we do. If we find that the Biot number is less than 0.1, if the Biot number is less than 0.1, then we can go for the lumped parameter analysis. In that case, error will be very, very small. So we have to go for we can go for lumped parameter analysis if Biot number is less than 0.1. And what is this L in the formula of the Biot number? This L is you can see the characteristic length LC, and this characteristic length is basically the volume of the body divided by the surface area. Volume of the body divided by the surface area, because always you may not get a body of a regular shape, it can be any irregular kind of a thing. So in that case you have to find out what is the total volume, what is the surface area, you divide it and you find out what is the characteristic length, and that characteristic length you have to use to calculate the Biot number. Okay, here some guideline. If you find that a plane wall of thickness 12, just see what you can see here. This is an example of a plane wall, you can see, and the thickness is 12. So from here to here the thickness is 12, and if you consider this is the axis here, and each side this length is L, this length is L. Okay, and the both side basically the convection heat transfer is taking place from both side. Okay, so in that case if the thickness is 2L, then this characteristic length is L for a long cylinder of radius RO. If RO is the outer radius, then RO by 2 is considered as the characteristic length. For a sphere, it is considered RO divided by 3. So you can also calculate all these things using this formula V by AS. Okay, so this is a guideline. Now here you can see in this picture, you see the first picture corresponding to Biot number is much less than 1. Biot number is much less than 1, and here you can see the first diagram, the temperature may be at time is equal to 0. You see that the everywhere within the plate the temperature is uniform, maybe at a very high temperature. Now it has been put in a fluid having lower temperature. Then what happens? Its temperature decreases. But its temperature decreases, but you can see within the solid the temperature variation is very less. Within the solid the temperature variation with the spatial position is very less. Okay, and as the time pass on, here you can see the whole body temperature decreases, but within the body variation is very less. Here you can see the temperature variation within the body is very less. So almost similar temperature everywhere within the body, but gradually from time is equal to 0 to some time you can see the temperature is continuously decreasing. Okay, but if the Biot number is 1, you observe it carefully. Initially this was the condition, everywhere it was uniform and the temperature is large. Now you see as the time passes, you see that within the body there is a large variation of temperature. Within the body there is a temperature variation that is clearly observed here. Temperature is decreasing, but within the body also temperature variation is there. That means from one position to another position temperature is varying. So it is clear that lumped parameter analysis is not actually happening in this situation. Or if the Biot number is greater than much greater than 1, you can see this variation is very high, even with if you compare with respect to the outside fluid temperature variation. Okay, so definitely these are the situations where you cannot use the lumped parameter assumption, and but this is one of the example where maybe if the Biot number is much less than 1, you can use it. But this is a guideline that you can use for your problems, that if the Biot number is less than 0.1, then lumped parameter analysis can be done, but definitely some error will be there, but that error is very small, so you can do it. Now coming to another very important non-dimensional number, which is called the Fourier number. If you look carefully, again the temperature as a function of time, which is basically the theta by theta I, in case of lumped parameter analysis, we have seen this expression. Now this expression under exponential with a negative, that means this portion of this expression, if you see this portion of the expression, then that portion has been written here, and if you just simply simplify it, you will find that you can substitute this portion this portion, that is V by AS. Okay, so this V by AS, already we have seen that V by AS is nothing but the characteristic length. Okay, so that V by A is actually written as characteristic length, other things are exactly same, and now it is basically separated and multiplied numerator and denominator by LC, characteristic length. Then one part you can see here, which we have already given a name Biot number, and the remaining portion that you can see other than Biot number, this whole number is called the Fourier number. So this is what is the Fourier number. Okay, so here only thing you just observe, this K by rho C, already we have defined what is K by rho C. This K by rho C, this particular quantity is called the thermal diffusivity, symbolized by alpha, as you can see here. So that part is actually written as thermal diffusivity alpha into time by LC square. So this quantity is what is the Fourier number. So what we are getting is that final expression theta by theta I is equal to exponential of minus Biot number into Fourier number. Now what is the physical significance of the Fourier number? You can say that if you write the expression of Fourier number, you see it is alpha t by L square, and if you simply arrange it like this, if you just expand what is alpha, like K by rho C, and you will find that you can write this expression as K into L square into 1 by L into delta T, as if this quantity is nothing but L square indicates what? L square indicates nothing but the area. Okay, and 1 by L, K into area by 1 by L, okay, into delta T, basically this portion nothing but the conduction, rate of conduction heat transfer. Okay, we know this expression, that K A into temperature drop divided by L. So this portion is like here, which is basically conduction in the numerator, and in the denominator, if you see carefully, this is rho into Cp into L cube. L cube is like volume, and with density is nothing but mass. So mass into specific heat into delta T by T is nothing but the rate at which the storage changes. Okay, so definitely you can conclude that Fourier number can be think as if it is the rate of heat conducted across L of a body of volume L cube with the rate at which heat is stored in the body of volume L cube. Okay, so this is the rate of conduction with respect to the rate of storage. This particular ratio indicates the Fourier number. Or you can say in simply that Fourier number is a dimensionless time which with the Biot number characterizes the transient conduction problem. Since it is a why it is a dimensionless time, because if you see carefully that this T is the time, and here at the bottom it is LC square by alpha, which is also having a dimension of time. Okay, so this is a dimensionless number. As a whole, this number is a dimensionless number, and that is why this is a dimensionless time basically indicates or characterizes the transient conduction. Now let us see one step further. that is 1D transient heat conduction. Now we are considering 1D transient heat conduction. That means now we are considering temperature not only function of time. Let us consider at least one dimension, that means x. Okay, so now we are interested to find out that temperature of a body at a particular point within a body may be at any instant of time. Okay, so now we are just trying to find out the spatial variation along with the time variation. So these are the situations definitely we will consider when the Biot number is respectively larger. That means we cannot consider the lumped parameter analysis, so we have to see these situations. But again, if you see the basic governing equations, if you see the heat conduction equation corresponding to 1D transient heat conduction, this partial differential equation solving is very complicated. That means if you want to find out the analytical solution of this equation, it is still very lengthy process. A lot of concepts like separation of variables, like orthogonality of the functions, like Fourier series, a lot of concepts is required, and even after that you can only get solutions under certain restricted situations, and after that maybe with the help of superposition and all that some problems can be solved, but still this analytical process is very lengthy. So let us first try to understand that what is our objective in this particular topic, and then we'll see how at least with the help of graphical method we can solve this kind of problem. So in case of relatively small bodies of highly conductive materials, approximation of the lumped capacitance behavior is okay, that we have already seen. But in general, however, the temperature within the body will change from point to point as well as with time, and that is why we are going one step further, because when the situations are not like a very small body, or if the situation is that thermal conductivity is not so high, that means if the Biot number is more than 0.1, so in those situations definitely we have to think this kind of a situation. So in this topic we'll basically consider the temperature variation with time and position, but in one dimension problem, and those will are related to large plane wall. Why large plane wall? Because large plane wall make the assumption that it is one dimension, because in other dimensions the dimensions are very large, that is why the gradients can be neglected, and a long cylinder and a sphere. For these three cases at least we'll see how can we solve the problem. So here these three examples has been shown. A plane wall, what we want to find out? We want to find out at any instant of time, at any position, that means at any x from the axis, we want to find out what is the temperature. Similarly for the cylinder, long cylinder, we want to find out at any radial position at any instant of time what will be the temperature, or similarly for the case of sphere also. And not only that, we are also interested to find out what is the rate of heat transfer corresponding to that. So this is what is the whole objective in this particular topic. So first few dimensionless parameters has been defined, where the dimensionless temperature theta, you see this theta is function of x and t, and this is defined as temperature at any position maybe at a distance x for a plane wall at any time t is txt minus t infinity divided by ti. Ti, remember, is initial temperature Ti, because initially everywhere the temperature was same. Okay, so this Ti is basically nothing but temperature at any position x at time is equal to 0. Okay, so Ti is the initial temperature minus T infinity. So this quantity is the dimensionless temperature. Dimensionless distance is what is represented by x, which is basically capital X, which is basically equal to X position. In case of a plane wall, you can see that any position X divided by half of the thickness, that is L. Okay, L is the half of the thickness, considering the total thickness of the plane wall is 2L. Okay, so X by L is the dimensionless distance. So it is simply normalized by dividing L. And dimensionless heat transfer coefficient, is HL by K, okay, which is the Biot number and the Fourier number that you know, alpha T by L square. Okay, in case of a plane wall, in the definition of Biot number, we have used L as the characteristic length. Remember one thing, it is very important that if it is a problem of cylinder or a sphere, in that case we will consider radius, outer radius, as the characteristic length. It is not same as what we have done in case of a lumped parameter analysis. If you remember, in case of a lumped parameter analysis, we have defined that Biot number is equal to H into LC divided by K, and I have told you that this LC will be equal to V by AS. And if you do that in case of cylinder, you will find that this is coming R0 by 2, or in case of a sphere it will come R0 by 3. But when we are studying this particular chart, where we are going to plot some parameters related to Biot number and Fourier number, in calculating those Biot number and Fourier number, remember we are using this characteristic length, and that characteristic length is as defined in case of a cylinder, it is considered as only the outer radius, or in case of sphere also we are considering the outer radius. It is not R0 by 2 or R0 by 3, only R0, both in case of cylinder and sphere. So that thing you have to remember, okay, when you are considering this L in case of cylinders and spheres, if you want to find out Biot number and Fourier number. That is different from what we have done in case of a lumped parameter analysis. That only you have to remember. Now so first thing is that with the help of the charts we can solve this kind of problem for large plane walls or the long cylinder, the sphere, and these charts by which we can solve are called Heisler chart. These are called Heisler chart, and there are 3 sets of Heisler chart. Okay, 3 sets that you have to remember. For a particular problem, let us consider, we are considering the problem of a large plane wall. So for a large plane wall, there are 3 Heisler charts. So what are these 3 Heisler chart indicates? The first Heisler chart determine the temperature T0 at the center of the geometry at a given time t. That means if you want to find out for a plane wall what is the temperature exactly at the central position, that means at 0 position, if we call that as T0, and that T0 we can find out at any time, only at the central position temperature that we can find out, not other position temperature. So first chart will give you the central position temperature at any time. Okay, now what is the second chart is giving you? The second chart is used to determine the temperature at other location at the same time in terms of TO. That means for the same problem of a plane wall, now if this is the central position and you know that, suppose you want to find out what is the temperature after say 10 seconds, and we are calling say this T as 10 seconds, then after 10 seconds suppose this temperature is TO, then if we want to find out what will be the temperature at a distance say 0.5 meter from the axial position or the central position, then from the second chart we can find out, okay, at after 10 seconds if the central temperature is T0, that means that you can find out from the first chart, then this T0 is known to you. Now using this T0 at after 10 seconds you can always find out what will be the temperature at any distance, maybe for at a distance 0.5 meter from the central position, that you can find out. Okay, so the second chart is used to determine the temperature at other location at the same time in terms of T0. Okay, now the third chart is used to determine the total amount of heat transfer up to time T. Okay, so third chart is used to find out the heat transfer. But the last point is very important. Remember, these plots are valid, these Hazelitt charts are valid if the Fourier number is greater than 0.2. So that is another thing that you should check initially for the problem, whether the Fourier number is greater than 0.2 or not. So here you can see I have told you for each problem, whether it's a problem of a cylinder, sphere or a plane wall, there are 3 sets of chart. So first, if we see for the problem of a plane wall, here you can see the plane wall, total thickness is 2L. This is the central position. Initially the temperature is Ti everywhere, which is same, and outside temperature is T infinity, as you can see. So in the y-axis, you can see it is theta O. So theta O indicates the origin position. So that means the central position. Theta O basically indicates the non-dimensional temperature at origin. That means this position. This is what is the origin. So at origin, the temperature after time T, if you want to find out that, you can find out from here. Since you know the time, suppose the problem is you have to find out after 10 seconds, so you know what is the time after which you have to find out the central temperature. So the problem is find out after time T what will be the central temperature. So what you do, that since you know what is the T, that means after how much time you have to find out, then and then you just first calculate what is the value of Fourier number, because in Fourier number you know this T and alpha, L, these are depending upon the property and the geometry. So you can definitely find out Fourier number. So in the x-axis it is basically the Fourier number that has been plotted. So and you see these different pink color lines, basically each pink color lines indicates the reciprocal of the Biot number. Okay, so reciprocal of the Biot number, since Biot number depends only on the geometry and the property and H, so if these things are known, you can find out Biot number and the reciprocal of that. So find out that particular Biot number where this problem is, and find out the time corresponding to, you find out what is the Fourier number, and corresponding to that Fourier number and Biot number, you can easily find out from the y-axis that what is the theta 0. And if you know what is the theta 0, since the initial temperature is known, since the fluid temperature is known, you can find out TO. That means after time T, what will be the TO, that you can find out. What will be the central temperature, that you can find out. So from the first curve, in this way we can find out the temperature at the central position after certain time. Now you see the second chart of the same problem, that means that slab problem where the thickness is 2L. Already you know what is TO. Since you know TO, that means in the y-axis you see it has been plotted theta. It has been plotted theta. It is not theta O. Look carefully, it is theta. Already you know theta O, that means you know what is TO. So TO is known to you. So if you somehow find out what is the value of theta, then definitely you can find out this T because you know all other quantities by the time. So Biot number is already known to you. So in the x-axis you can see it is the Biot number, and these different lines, the different pink lines are corresponding to different position. Here you can see the non-dimensional position that has been plotted corresponding to and you have to see that definitely in your problem it will be given that suppose you have to find out at a distance x from the central position. So what you do, that you know the x where you have to find out, divide by the half of the thickness and find out this non-dimensional parameter, and choose that which pink line is effective for your problem. So identify that particular line, you know the Biot number, so find out that point and you see that what is the corresponding theta. So if you know theta, that means you know what is the temperature at that position at that time. Okay, so in this way you can find out the temperature at any location and at any instant of time. Now here you can see this is the third curve from where you can find out what is the amount of heat transfer from the body in that time. So it is, remember, the unit of Q is joule, it is not the watt. Okay, so Q by Q max, that has been plotted here. You can see, so here x-axis you can see that since you know what is the time, you know other quantities, so Biot number square into Fourier number, that has been plotted in the x-axis, that is completely known to you, and Biot number is basically the different pink line corresponds. So find out the pink line corresponding to which Biot number you are solving the problem. Find out the Biot number square into Fourier number, that means after which time you want to find out that what is the heat transfer, and you can easily find out this Q. Okay, so Q by Q max, if you know, then you can definitely find out what is the value of Q, because Q max is a known quantity. So now you see this particular diagram is this Hessler chart is corresponding to the cylinder problem, and you see in the definition of the Biot number, the R0 has been considered in case of characteristic layer. This is very important. Just do not confuse with the Biot number definition that you have used in case of lumped parameter analysis. So here the problem is exactly in a similar way you have to solve. Here it is basically the Fourier number that you have to plot here. It is not now, it is basically the Fourier number that is plotted here, and here it is the theta 0. So you just find out what is the theta 0, since you know what is the Biot number and you know what is the time. In this way you can find out what will the actual temperature or the central position temperature after that time. Now use the second curve, and using that T0 value after that time at any R by R0 position, that means at any radial position, now you can find out that what will be the temperature. And here in a exactly similar way you find out what is the rate of heat transfer. Here this is basically the Fourier number. So Biot number square into Fourier number is actually this quantity. Okay, so similar thing here also. This is what is the Fourier number for a sphere. So remember, you have to choose the correct Hessler chart depending upon what problem you are doing, whether you are doing it for a sphere or a cylinder or a plane wall. That is very important, do not confuse. So choose the correct Hessler chart to solve this kind of problem. Okay, exactly in a similar way you have to solve it. Here also in a similar way, this is the Fourier number. Okay, so this is the way by which you can solve one-dimensional transient heat transfer problem. Thank you.